Hands down, what's the most ignorant thing an adult, 18 plus, has said to you? My 8th grade English language teacher kept insisting for the entire year that my name was spelled incorrectly. There must always be an U after a Q. Well, my name is Persian, not English. Would get in trouble because of that, until I just gave up. Kakan, Persian, means King of Kings or Lord of Kings. Speaking about a child with pink eye is very contagious. Don't look her in the eye. Yes, they were dead serious. Aggressively looks at your comment, me currently having pink eye. I remember my not so smart ex-boss explaining to us, employees, how some fridge chamber works. So when it's written 0N, that means that the fridge chamber works, but when it's written 0FF, that means that it doesn't work. I often mix it up too, but just try to remember. After few seconds, one co-worker just looked like WTF and just asked, but isn't that on and off? The awkward moment when the guy realized. This is the funniest thing I've seen all day. I can totally see myself doing something embarrassingly boneheaded like that. A girl in my office a few weeks ago said that our cafeteria has these new, cool looking egg white balls. They were hard-boiled eggs. I remember having a car accident. My co-worker was driving, and even though we weren't hurt, I noticed the other day long thick blue line across my torso from the seatbelt. I guess the impact was much stronger than I initially felt. After a while, some lady at work was explaining how she never puts her seatbelt on because she doesn't like it. I told her about what happened to me, implying that if I didn't wear it that day that I would smash with my head to the front windshield. But her conclusion was, see, if you didn't have it on, that bruise wouldn't happen to you. Basically saying that the seatbelts are bad. A few years ago, I got into an argument with a guy who refused to wear seatbelts and thought that most people didn't wear them. I assumed because his family didn't, but I didn't ask. He acted like I was dumb and straight-laced for suggesting he wear one. It was one of the most frustrating conversations I've ever had, though I guess it doesn't really affect me unless I'm right next to him. I work at a grocery store. Customer, where are the cloves? Me, probably in the spice aisle. Try 3A. Customer, angrily, no, cloves of garlic. My grandmother-in-law, Thanksgiving. Did you know black people can be gay? Whispers, I bet that's what a lesbian is. My black uncle, OBV by marriage, nearly P himself. One of my aunts said you are no longer a real woman once you go into menopause or have to have any sort of reproductive surgery, hysterectomy, tubes tied etc. She said this to my mom after her hysterectomy, which she had to have due to tumors in her uterus, which would have caused her to possibly bleed to death if they weren't removed. If places weren't so dang selfish and inconsiderate in insisting on having their own time zone, then travelers wouldn't have to suffer from jet lag. Think he popped a few brain cells along with jet lag. One of my co-workers from a previous job refused to believe that meat comes from muscles of animals, among many other things. I hate her so much. A person told me he was okay to walk in an area with nursing bears because 1. He had a .25 auto pistol and 2. You just jam your forearm up against the back of their mouth crossways and they can't bite you because it locks their jaw up. Sadly, he returned from his hike. You can't use your grill outside because of it being a fire hazard, but since it's electric you're allowed to use it inside. My apartment property manager during a discussion on my electric grill. A former boss, IVF babies are not real babies. Word, I'll just go make sure that my cousin isn't just a figment of my imagination. I love it when they start talking about how IVF is a disgraceful way to conceive a child and leave psychological consequences on the child. My grandma once said that black people and white people were different species, and that they shouldn't mate because, in her words, horses and donkeys don't mate with each other. I'm a nurse. I was taking care of 2 patients in an ICU. One was very sick, the other getting better. One patient started crashing, so I was spending all of my time with them attempting to prevent a code, which didn't work. The more well patient wanted water. Her family member proceeded to stalk me as I am running in and out of the other room with supplies, medications, and eventually a crash cart and full healthcare team. After everything settled down, I came to my more well patient's room, apologized and explained myself and asked what they needed. The family member then says to me, well, she better be dead with how long it took you to get to us. I just grabbed the water jug and walked away. I tried to just read this, but now I am so freaking mad I want to cry for you. I'm so sorry. My teacher, when I was 17ish, told everyone at the parent-teacher conference that she did not walk her dog in the local park at night because the gays might be hiding in the bushes and she therefore was worried about her and her dog's safety. Those goddamn gay dog rapists in the park. Such a nuisance. I had to have my ovaries removed due to a medical condition. Someone told me, oh well, dogs that aren't fit for breeding are spayed too. Evolution is right, because black people came from apes, but God created white people in his own image, and we come from Adam and Eve, my grandmother-in-law. He was saying he was thinking about going to college. He's in his early 20s but he never went. I mentioned my alma mater. It's small and little known, but I got a really great education there, and it recently made in-state tuition free, so I like to spread the word. He asked, is it a tech school? I said, no, it's a liberal arts school. He scoffs, well, I'm not a liberal, suoo. To be fair, if that was his response then the place probably won't be a good fit. This woman once warned me that the grocery store I worked at might be run by radical Muslims as an ISIS front. That's how they start, from the inside. I was like, lady, I am clearly a brown man with a beard. Why would you tell me this? I didn't say that but I wanted to. I didn't say anything. I didn't know what was happening. It was a freaking grocery store. While I was an intern for a congressman I had someone call and tell me that the postal service was run by Muslim extremists, specifically targeting him. I wanted to laugh, but it's sad to think this guy is living in constant fear that his mailman is out to get him. My sister said that the current armed conflicts like in Syria are so lame and that it would be much better if we had another world war because it is much more entertaining to watch. It's all fun and games until you get drafted. You can't go swimming on your period because water will go inside you and that's how you get water weight. My best friend's mom. Jesus freaking Christ, you've got to be kidding me. My former boss said that the reason our horse lesson program helmets had never gotten lice in them was because we didn't have any ethnic students. Particularly ignorant since black people get lice way less often than white people. Racist freaking bugs. In college a friend told me that she sometimes pees through her tampon. I had to use drawings to explain that the pee hole and the tampon hole were not the same. Gay men are cool but lesbians should not be around. My grandma said this. Your grandma just told you she likes watching gay pee, bro. My own mother, just last week, told me that I shouldn't be taking meds for my depression because my diagnosis is a sham and antidepressants are an excuse for Big Pharma to make money. When I asked her if she felt that way about the meds for my autoimmune disorder, she told me, oh no, that's a real illness. As a fellow sufferer, my heart goes out to you. Well done for getting help and I hope you get better. Every year my boss goes to a conference and comes back with souvenirs from foreign associates we work with throughout the year. Last year, she brought chocolates from Kazakhstan. The lady who sits behind me has a candy bowl so she put the candy in her bowl. Candy lady goes, would you like some chocolate from people trying to bomb us? Insert Borat joke here. My former CEO explained he was really good at reading people and it was obvious I was an introvert because I was good at technology, which additionally meant I would be too timid to speak up in meetings and thus shouldn't be promoted. I am a textbook extrovert. I have had to work on not speaking up as much in meetings. But sure, I'm good with this particular software program. So you use your super impressive powers of reading personalities to deduce that I'm a nerdy, quiet, introvert. Practically a mind reader. I think having a baby with him will make us argue less because we won't have the time to argue. She was 19ish. Still young yet. Please tell me he got out of there. Oh boy, I have the perfect story for this. My dad used to own a store and I worked there as a cashier because reasons. One day a customer walked in and asked for hygiene products for men. After elaborating a bit more, he asked for tampons for men. Now, I knew this guy for years and we were both 20/21 at the time, so I knew he wasn't trans or anything. No, this guy actually thought that he was having a period. I had to explain to him that no, men didn't have menstrual cycles. His girlfriend was wrong. He shouldn't be bleeding from the dong and that he should probably go to the hospital. What's the most ignorant thing about it? That he was planning to shove one up there and wait it out. Sounds like he found the perfect girlfriend for him. Friend from college said Christopher Columbus brought the Native Americans to North America. This girl was in her 20s and in college. He did literally the opposite. When visiting my mother, it was time to feed my 6-month-old baby, so naturally I began nursing her. My mom looked at me, scowled and said, "Ugh, I wish you would stop doing that. It grosses me out." I worked at a daycare center in the infant room. One of my co-workers was grossed out by the idea of breastfeeding and thought that if the moms wanted to do that, they should only do it at home and should otherwise supply formula for us to feed their infants. That's not how that works. Are you even trying to get better? A nurse asked me this after I filled out the daily survey in the mental hospital. It was my second time being admitted and wanted to get help. I was so desperate, so I just kept being honest on the surveys. I said I wanted to die and that I couldn't envision myself being healthy. It took being admitted the third time to send me to a long-term care hospital. I'm a female college student currently studying to be a doctor, and the amount of times older men have said something to the effect of "but you're a girl, why don't you just be a nurse" is truly mind-blowing. People literally think nurse is just the female equivalent of doctor. It's insane. I'm of Filipino descent, but look more Hispanic, and live in a diverse area. I was eating outside an Asian restaurant with my girlfriend and dog. A white family walks by asking to pet my dog. The dad says don't let your dog inside the restaurant because you know how Asians like to eat dogs. I just stare at him, speechless because I couldn't believe someone would actually say that. His family walks away embarrassed and the dad tries to backtrack but eventually just walks away too. I get so freaking tired of people joking around about Asians eating dogs. Used to work at a grocery store as a cashier. This store employed grocery baggers and the one I used to work with had Down syndrome and was the sweetest person ever. She was pretty highly functional although she still had the appearance of having Downs. Anyway, one day an older woman throws all her stuff on the belt and then leans over to me and says, "Can you please not have the mongoloid bag my food?" My friend, not a smart one, was sitting beside the pool and she notified our friend that he needed to fill just the one side of the pool but not the other. It is the kind of pool where one side has a lifted ledge with a step up. The spork is the devil's utensil because it is the amalgamation of the masculine fork and the feminine spoon and is trying to blur gender lines in society. You know you're living in a society completely obsessed with male-female dichotomy when something like freaking eating utensils are gendered. Jesus and Mary were white because God created them special. My mother, when I showed her an article I thought was interesting about what Jesus would look like, she's only religious when she can use it to insult people, it seems. And I quote, "I saw a beautiful butterfly on my car on my way to work. It was so beautiful. There's no way evolution can be true." I was having a conversation with an older guy, probably in his 70s, about me not wanting kids. Another older guy, probably in his 60s, says these kids these days not reproducing and then they wonder why the minorities are taking over. Funny thing is my girlfriend is black, so even if we had a kid together there would still be a minority. Had a guy trying to preach the argument of sending all the Mexicans back to Mexico, and when asked about the labor issue for our agricultural industry he said, and I quote, "We'll just make someone else do it." I mean, we probably would. It's only ignorant if you think that's a good thing. My brother and I were teenagers and we were on vacations with our parents and other families. A group vacation the town organized. We all pretty much hanged around together although we didn't know each other before. I remember this lady, around 35 or 40, who was with her daughters. We were discussing how some people of the group were visiting Turkey for a few hours because it was so close, and we said we didn't have passports with us so we couldn't. Her comment, "And of course let's not forget that the Turks are dirty, you know, because they are not baptized." We were shocked. It was the most idiotic thing I had ever heard an adult say. It was the first time I actually believed I should avoid an older person because of their stupidity. A guy in my psychology class said, "Aren't homeless people there because they want to be? If they didn't want to be homeless they would just get a job and buy a house. Housing and having your basic needs met is so overrated." Driving a car can't be safe for you. If you don't have a boyfriend to do it for you, you should be riding a bike everywhere. I was a 24-year-old, gay woman at the time, and this was just the most ignorant of the ignorant and annoying comments this man made to me that day. Dang, that sounds like something my mother would say. If you lived in a bunch of crappy homes as a foster kid, why did you still act out when you were placed in a nice home? I'd probably give the kid back too if they weren't grateful. If someone is nice enough to take in a teenager that obviously no one else wants, why not just be a good kid? How and where the frick was I supposed to learn how to be a good kid when I was moved every few months and every single home has different rules and expectations that they just expect you to magically know? Kids get attachment issues if you move them a million times. Why would we trust you right off the bat if we had learned that we couldn't trust every placement that came before you for one reason or another? Kids get post-traumatic stress. They learn maladaptive coping mechanisms, including pushing people away. It's difficult to trust people. We don't trust by default anymore because we've learned that leads to hurt. We're not going to trust you until you earn it. And even then, it's still risky for us to get attached if we're probably gonna get moved again soon anyways. Frick you, Patricia. You don't know anything about it. You wanted to adopt a rescue dog, had him for 3 months, and then gave him back. Your B and that dog deserve better. Thank frick you have no interest in fostering children, because they would let you, and you would further damage some kids. B. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.